There is a place where evolution wrote its own rules, a green fortress isolated for millennia, where the jungle has been breathing since long before the Amazon existed. Here, the strange is the norm. Giants that shrank, primates with poison in their blood, and shadows that defy gravity. Enter a world forgotten by time. This is wild Borneo. Before we dive into the thicket, secure your place on this expedition. If you want to discover the secrets that the jungle has kept for millennia, like the video and subscribe. Activate the bell now. The journey into the unknown begins at this moment. Here, separated from its mainland relatives by rising sea levels tens of thousands of years ago, evolution has taken a divergent and fascinating path. Emerging from the undergrowth is the Bornean pygmy elephant. This genetically isolated subspecies is a triumph of island adaptation. Although it is the largest mammal on the island, it is considerably more compact than Asian or African elephants, a biological response to the limited resources of an island environment. Its appearance is what most baffles biologists. It possesses neotenic traits, retaining juvenile characteristics even in full maturity. Its soft-featured face is framed by disproportionately large ears that constantly fan to regulate its body temperature in the sweltering heat. And its tusks, unlike the aggressive curve of its cousins, grow straight and point toward the ground, giving it an expression of eternal innocence. But this docile appearance hides a tireless engineer of the ecosystem. Guided by a matriarch who possesses a mental map of the forest, passed down through generations, the herd must move constantly. Despite their small size, an adult needs to consume up to 150 kilograms of vegetation in a single solar cycle. They use their dexterous trunks to uproot grasses, palms, and wild ginger, opening clearings in the forest that allow light to reach the ground, encouraging new growth. They are gentle nomads, whose long tails, often dragging on the ground, leave a trail in the mud as they wade through muddy rivers, connecting fragments of forest with their constant passage. The rumbling of the elephants fades into the thicket, and the clearings they have opened allow columns of light to reach the ground. Our gaze rises, leaving the mud behind to seek the roof of the world. More than 30 meters above, in the complex network of the tree canopy, a silence reigns, broken only by the creaking of branches under considerable weight. This is the home of the Bornean orangutan, a solitary figure clad in reddish, shaggy fur that seems to mimic the rusty moss of ancient trees. To look into the deep, expressive eyes of this great ape is to peer into a disturbing evolutionary mirror. We share 97% of our genetic code with it, a closeness that is evident in every deliberate gesture and in the calculating intelligence with which it assesses its environment. However, unlike humans and other social primates, the orangutan has chosen a life of stoic isolation. It is the largest arboreal animal on the planet, and its anatomy is a masterpiece of biological engineering designed to defy gravity. Its arms, which extend beyond its knees, and its hook-shaped hands and feet allow it to move with deceptive fluidity among treetops that should barely support its mass. But its role transcends its mere existence in the heights. It is the supreme gardener of the jungle. With a three-dimensional mental map covering hundreds of acres, it memorizes the exact location and fruiting cycles of countless trees. Its diet consists of wild figs and hard-shelled durians, which it opens with formidable jaw strength. By consuming these fruits and traveling long distances, he disperses the intact seeds through his excrement, sowing the future of the forest far from the shade of the parent trees. Without his patient and constant work, the very architecture of the Borneo rainforest would slowly collapse, as many plant species depend exclusively on this gentle giant for reproduction. While the orangutan continues its solitary patrol in the high canopy of the interior, dispersing the seeds that will shape the future of the forest, the great rivers of Borneo flow inexorably toward the coast. There, where fresh water meets the salty tide and the aerial roots of mangroves form impenetrable labyrinths, the environment demands a different kind of spectacle. If the orangutan is an unsettling mirror of our humanity, the Proboscis monkey seems like an evolutionary caricature. Endemic to the island, its biology is a fascinating response to life on the amphibious edge of the jungle. The dominant males are unmistakable, bearers of a grotesque and bulbous facial feature, a huge flaccid nose that hangs over their mouths. Far from being a mistake of nature, this fleshy appendage is a vital tool of sexual selection. It acts as a sound box, amplifying their deep guttural roars that echo through the dense vegetation, warning rivals and attracting harems of females, whose noses are, by comparison, small and upturned. Their diet is also highly specialized and dictates their strange anatomy. Unlike the frugivores of the highlands, the long-nosed tapir feeds mainly on young mangrove leaves and unripe fruits, a fibrous and often toxic diet. To survive, they have a complex compartmentalized stomach, similar to that of a cow, filled with symbiotic bacteria responsible for fermenting this hard-to-digest plant matter. The result of this slow fermentation process is a constant production of gas, which gives them their characteristic, permanently distended round bellies. But perhaps their most surprising adaptation is revealed when they need to move between patches of forest separated by water. They are the most aquatic primates in the world. When danger lurks or food is scarce on the shore, they launch themselves from the high branches into the murky rivers with a splash. Equipped with partially webbed hands and feet, a biological rarity among apes, they swim with power and grace, even capable of diving long distances below the surface. However, each crossing is a calculated risk, for in these opaque waters, the evolutionary advantage belongs to a much older and more lethal predator. The Proboscis monkeys shake the water from their fur and clumsily climb to the highest branches of the riverside trees to seek safety for the night as the interior jungle begins to darken. Far from the splashing of the river, under the dense forest canopy where light barely penetrates even at midday, the silence becomes heavy. It is here, in this labyrinth of shadows and verticals, that the true ghost of Borneo lurks, the apex of the island's food chain, the Bornean clouded leopard. Long considered identical to its mainland relatives, modern science has revealed that this creature is a distinct species, separated by more than 1 million years of isolated evolution. It is the island's largest land predator, but it is rarely seen. Its coat is decorated with large, irregular ellipses with dark edges, a pattern that perfectly mimics the play of light and shadow in the foliage, making it virtually invisible until it decides to reveal itself. It moves with liquid fluidity, patrolling a vast and lonely territory, relying on absolute stealth rather than brute force or running speed. However, what makes this feline truly formidable is an anatomical adaptation that evokes beasts of a bygone era. It possesses the longest fangs in proportion to its skull of any modern feline, veritable ivory daggers that can exceed 2 inches in length. This dentition, similar to that of the extinct saber-toothed tigers, is designed for quick and precise killing, allowing it to pierce the spine of thick-skinned prey with one devastating bite. But its lethality is not limited to the ground. The clouded leopard is an unrivaled arboreal acrobat. Its hind ankles have the unique ability to rotate 180 degrees, allowing it to descend tree trunks headfirst like a squirrel or hang from a single hind leg to ambush unsuspecting deer or wild boar from above, blurring the safety line between earth and sky. If the clouded leopard is the specter that dominates the heights and the ground with a manifest lethal presence, there exists in the darkest and most inaccessible recesses of the jungle an even more elusive shadow, a legend that barely whispers among the roots. While the great predator patrols its vast territory, a much smaller creature slips through the undergrowth, occupying an ecological niche defined by absolute mystery, the Bornean cat. Also known as the red cat, this animal represents the ultimate enigma of modern zoology. So elusive is this small feline that, for over a century, science had little evidence of its existence beyond a few dusty skins and skulls stored in museums. It is the true holy grail for field biologists. Seeing one in the wild is a statistically improbable event, a privilege reserved for a handful of people in history. Its rarity is not just a matter of low numbers, but of extreme adaptation to stealth. In an ecosystem saturated with larger, more aggressive competitors, such as the clouded leopard, this feline has evolved to be invisible, avoiding conflict and moving like a ghost in perpetual twilight. Approximately the size of a large domestic cat, but with a more robust and wild build, its coat exhibits a uniform hue, ranging from deep reddish-brown to ash-gray. This solid coloration is a perfect adaptation for blending in with the rotten wood and leaf litter of the forest floor where it hunts. Its anatomy holds ancient secrets. It has a small, rounded head with low-set ears and an unusually long tail that tapers toward the tip. This tail, often marked with a white stripe on the underside, is believed to serve as a visual signaling flag in the dense darkness, allowing intraspecific communication without emitting sounds that could give away its position. It is a silent survivor, clinging to existence in the remaining patches of intact primary forest, carrying with it the secrets of a lineage that separated from its relatives 4 million years ago. Where the stealthy Bornean cat avoids crunching a single dry leaf to maintain its invisibility, another inhabitant of the undergrowth announces its presence with brute force and determination. The tense silence left by the feline is suddenly broken by the sound of wood tearing and bark bursting. The cause of this commotion is not a lurking predator, but an obsessive forager, the sun bear, also poetically known as the bear of the sun. This animal is a curiosity in the Ursidae family tree. Evolution in the dense, hot tropics has carved its shape into the smallest bear in the world, a compact and agile version of its polar or brown cousins. Its coat is short and jet black, designed not to retain excessive heat, and on its chest it sports a distinctive cream or orange horseshoe-shaped mark, which according to local legends represents the rising sun. But don't be fooled by its small size. Beneath that loose skin, which allows it to twist its body even if grabbed by a tiger, lies dense and powerful musculature. However, its most extraordinary adaptation is not visible at first glance. When it finds a termite nest or a beehive embedded in the trunk of a dipterocarp tree, it uses its curved, sickle-like claws to break through. That's when it deploys its secret tool, a prodigious, muscular tongue that can extend up to 25 centimeters out of its mouth. This tongue, absurdly long for the size of its head, acts as a sticky, flexible probe. With it, it penetrates the deepest and most tortuous crevices of the wood to suck up termites, ants, and its most coveted prize, wild honey. It is this addiction to sweet nectar that has earned it the nickname honey bear. It is a demolition engineer of the forest, recycling nutrients by tearing apart rotten logs in its insatiable search for calories. But its life is dictated by smell and constant hunger, and as it slurps the contents of a fallen honeycomb, its attention is often drawn to the ground, where the activity of the insects it has disturbed attracts other creatures, some of which prefer to move not on land but gliding through the air. If you've been struck by the hidden strength of this little giant and his tireless quest, hit the like button just as he breaks open the wood. Subscribe to continue tracking nature's most incredible adaptations with us, as there are still creatures in the shadows to be revealed. When the incessant noise of the Malayan sun bear smashing wood ceases and daylight finally surrenders to the absolute darkness of the undergrowth, the jungle changes shifts. The giants sleep, and the stage is set for creatures that operate on a totally different scale, where stealth and pinpoint precision are the law. In the low branches, clinging vertically to a thin stem with long, bony fingers, the tarsier awakens. This tiny primate, which would fit comfortably in the palm of a human hand, looks like a creature forged by fantasy or nightmare. Its most striking feature dominates its skull. It has the largest eyes in relation to its body size of any mammal. In fact, each of its eyeballs is larger than its own brain. These immense light receptors are an evolutionary marvel designed to penetrate the darkness of the jungle night, but they come at a high biological price. They are so large that they cannot move within their sockets. To compensate for this fixed gaze, the tarsier has developed astonishing vertebral flexibility, allowing it to turn its head 180 degrees in any direction, scanning its surroundings with the uncanny mechanical precision of an owl. While its primate relatives feed on fruit or leaves, the tarsier is a dietary anomaly. It is the only primate in the world that is entirely carnivorous. Its large ears, capable of moving independently, act as parabolic radars, picking up the slightest brush of a moth's wings or the passage of a cricket on a dry leaf. When it locates its prey, its powerful hind legs spring into action, In a burst of kinetic energy, it launches itself through the void, covering distances up to 40 times its body length in a single blind leap. It closes its eyes just before impact to protect them, trapping its victim with its prehensile hands in a lethal and silent ambush, reaffirming that in Borneo, size does not define ferocity. As the large eyes of the slow loris close at the first glimmer of dawn, and the nocturnal creature retreats to the safety of a hollow in the tree, the jungle experiences a dramatic changing of the guard. The tense silence of the night, where every noise could mean death, is suddenly broken by an explosion of sound that greets the sun. From the highest treetops, the morning concert of the Müller's gibbon begins. If the orangutan is the silent sage of the canopy, the gibbon is its vocal acrobat. Before we can even see them, we hear them. Their calls are complex, melodic compositions that travel up to 2 kilometers through the dense, humid atmosphere. But this is not chaotic noise. It is a declaration of love and ownership. Unlike the vast majority of mammals, these primates practice strict monogamy. The dominant pair, united for life, sings an intricate and synchronized duet every morning. This jungle opera serves a dual purpose. It strengthens the emotional bond between the pair and warns rival neighbors that this patch of forest already has owners. When the light finally reveals their silhouettes, we witness nature's most elegant locomotion, true brachiation. The anatomy of Müller's gibbon has sacrificed terrestrial stability for absolute aerial freedom. Their wrists have a ball and socket joint that allows for biaxial rotation, and their hands function as perfect hooks that barely touch the branches. They launch themselves into the void with suicidal confidence, covering distances of up to 15 meters in a single parabolic flight. They do not climb. They flow through the forest like water, reaching speeds that would leave an Olympic runner on the ground behind, all at a height of 50 meters, where a single miscalculation would be fatal. They are the undisputed masters of the airspace between the branches. As the frenetic concert of gibbons fades with the setting sun and the jungle regains its cloak of shadows, breakneck speed ceases to be the dominant strategy. In this world of twilight, survival favors those who operate on the opposite principle, extreme and deliberate slowness. Clinging to a vine with an iron grip that does not relax even while sleeping, the slow loris emerges. At first glance, this creature with large, pleading eyes and slow movements seems the very definition of vulnerability, a small stuffed animal lost in a world of brutal predators. It moves with exasperating stealth, freezing for hours if it detects a threat, becoming indistinguishable from an excrescence on the branch. However, this harmless appearance is one of nature's most sophisticated deceptions. The slow loris holds a dark and unique title. It is the only poisonous primate on the face of the earth. Its defense is a triumph of biological chemical warfare. On the inside of its elbows, it has a specialized brachial gland that secretes a pungent oil. When threatened, the slow loris raises its arms in a defensive posture that exposes these glands and licks them, mixing the oil with its own saliva. This combination activates a potent toxin capable of causing lethal anaphylactic shock in its attackers or necrosis in the bitten flesh. Before going out to forage in the lonely night, a mother will often cover her young with this toxic mixture, enveloping them in an invisible chemical force field that deters panthers and snakes alike, proving that in Borneo, the slow loris clings to its branch wrapped in its invisible chemical shield, relying on absolute stillness, while on the adjacent trunk, evolution has designed a diametrically opposed survival strategy. Where the loris freezes, this creature prepares to launch itself into the void. This is the flying lemur, also known as the Galapithecus, an animal that is a living contradiction. It is neither a lemur, nor does it actually fly. Belonging to an ancient and exclusive taxonomic order, the Demopterans, this creature has taken adaptation to arboreal life to its physical extreme. During the day, it is virtually undetectable. Its gray and green mottled fur perfectly mimics the lichens and moss on the bark, allowing it to sleep in plain sight hugging the trunk. But when night falls, it reveals its true form. It has the largest patagium of all gliding mammals, an elastic skin membrane that not only connects its legs, but extends from the tips of its fingers to the end of its tail, enveloping it like a living kite. Driven by the need to travel between giant trees without touching the predator-infested ground, the Galapithecus laboriously climbs to the top. Once in position, it jumps. What follows is a miracle of biological aerodynamics. By extending its limbs, it transforms itself into a flat surface that catches the air, allowing it to glide astonishing distances of over 100 meters. It is not a controlled fall, but a directed journey. By adjusting the tension of its membrane, it can maneuver between obstacles in the forest with spectral grace, losing very little height in the process. It lands on the next log with a soft impact, absorbing the force with its sharp claws, ready to climb again, often carrying its young clinging to its belly. A silent passenger on this unpowered flight through the darkness. Our aerial journey through Borneo is coming to an end, but the planet is vast and wild. To be the first to set foot on our next unexplored destination, activate the bell and check your subscription. There are many more worlds waiting to be discovered by explorers like you. As the mist returns to cover the treetops and the sounds of the night reclaim the air, the jungle continues its eternal dance. Its immensity reminds us that, despite our presence, there are corners of this planet that remain untamed, mysterious, and wild.